Hi, this is Nicole Roberts Jones, and welcome to Amplify Your Brilliance. What I know for sure is that one of life's greatest gifts will meet you when you go after your more. And so here is where I share with you thought-provoking insight and behind the curtain conversations with women who have reached the pinnacle of success because they went after their more. And I really want you to get this. One idea from these episodes can make a remarkable difference, not just in your business, your career, but in your life. Also, make sure you join the conversation in our Facebook group. Go to thebrilliancetribe.com. Now grab your pen as we begin today's session of Amplify Your Brilliance. Hello, this is Nicole Roberts Jones, and welcome to this episode of Amplify Your Brilliance. So since today is our last episode for 2020, as we go on hiatus until February, I'm pouring into you from a thought-provoking question I think women overlook as you go after that more that's rumbling inside of you, whether that's for your next best move at work or if it's to start or grow your business. And here it is. Have you realized that when you were born to this world, that God brought you here on assignment? Yes, you are here on this earth to make a difference and definitely to make money while you do it. But sometimes the question becomes how, really, right? And it's by using your gift, your expertise, your know-how, your brilliance to be the answer. Now, some of you may already be tapping into it, but the question is, are you utilizing it to its fullest? And so that's really our conversation for this episode. And yes, you are here on assignment. See, in the 27 years that I've been in this work, I've found that there are millions of women just like you who are successful, but you really want meaning and fulfillment. And to find that, can I tell you that first, so many I've encountered are looking for an outside answer to an inside yearning. And that's why I'm here. See, my purpose in life is to help you get clear and then step into the power of the one thing God has called you to do or to be in this world. So as we're now in November, as I record this episode, which is 2 months from the new year, as we're also in the midst of the greatest pandemic this nation has known, now more than ever, it's time to get clear on why you are here. So during this episode, I'm going to share with you how you can discover your assignment and commit to be the answer. See, what I know for sure is that you have everything you need already inside of you. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to teach you how to activate it. Yes, I'm going to share you how to activate your own DNA. And by the way, if you haven't figured this out by now from being around me or listening to other episodes, anytime I say DNA, I'm talking about your distinct natural ability. So I call this first step in the journey, finding your fears. See, for years, before I started my own journey to finding it and living in what I call my fears, I was so focused on fitting into what other people thought or what other people had to say that I should be, right? That I had become someone defined by other people's perception of me until the day that I had a defining moment that shifted everything. Now, see, one morning I woke up to the fact that I had been allowing my destiny to be defined by what everybody else thought, what everybody else said I should do or be. And see, I spent years be okay with everybody else's definition. Now, this one morning was back in 1993, while many people would call my life a dream life. Actually, can I tell you, it was my dream life, right? See, in the midst of my dream, it all hit me. Now, by this time, I had built an incredible career in the entertainment industry, an industry that I had dreamed of being in ever since I was a little girl. See, one of my first jobs after college was for Viacom's largest cable network. We had an outreach to 89 million homes on a weekly basis. And then from there, I was elevated into a casting director position for the #1 television show on Fox. And then after that, I worked with the entertainment group, and what we produced generated over $12.6 billion a year. Now, I was doing all that. Plus, I was going to all the hot Hollywood parties. I was bumping elbows with all the stars. You know, people you've seen on TV and have looked at on films. So yes, I was living the Hollywood dream. However, can I tell you that that dream became my nightmare? See, even though I was living this dream. And actually, even more than it became my nightmare, my dream actually became my cocoon. Now, I want you to think about what a cocoon is. See, when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, it's in transition toward becoming a butterfly. And what most people don't stop and think about, or most people don't even know, is that a caterpillar, when it's in that cocoon, is hanging around in the dark. And that's exactly how I felt, because I felt like I was in the dark, right? Because I had no idea what could possibly be next for me. Now, I want you to get this. Hollywood was great. But what I realized is something was missing. I realized I had a hole in my soul. And no matter how much I loved my job, my Hollywood dream just wasn't filling that hole, right? So when I finally stopped to think about it for myself, it was as if I could hear a whisper inside of me saying to me, Nicole, there's something bigger waiting for you. But mind you, I didn't know what the heck that could be. Shoot, I thought I was doing something that was pretty doggone big, right? Now, as I was feeling dazed and confused and not knowing really what to do, one of my really good girlfriends asked me if I wanted to volunteer at a program at our church one night. And that night, as I started working with young women, I could see their eyes light up. And as their eyes lit up, my heart lit up. And I realized this is what I'm meant to do. But keep in mind, this wasn't glamorous like my daytime job, right? And this was before there was a such thing as the self-development industry or even a coach. So I didn't even know what the heck to call this thing. And I didn't know how I could get paid to do this. But what I did know was that for the first time in my life, my soul was alive. And so I found myself confronted with everything I was and everything I had not done yet. And in that confrontation, I felt like I was at a crossroad. See, in one direction was the only way anybody else would ever recognize me, ever approve me. At least that's what I thought, right? And in the other direction was this very thing that was lighting up my soul. And so, yeah, I had a pretty tough decision to make. Do I turn to the left and do what everybody else says I should do? Or do I turn to the right and listen to the whisper deep down in my soul? Now, as I pondered this choice, what kept coming to me was that this was the very thing that I was put on earth to do. This thing I was doing with these girls, that's what was lighting me up. I realized that really my gift, even in the entertainment industry, was drawing out what's best in people. And so in that moment, I had to choose. And I'm pretty sure you know what I decided, or else I wouldn't be here, right? So in that moment, I had to say yes to pursue this fire that was down in my soul, in my belly. See, I was willing in that moment to no longer care what anybody else thought or said about me. I was willing to follow my intuition, God, who was whispering to my soul. Now, you got to know that I didn't know how the heck I was going to do this thing. And I didn't even know how I was going to get paid for it. But again, this feeling was unlike anything else I felt. And so I realize now that I'm on this side of the journey, I discovered what I call my fears. Now, let me explain to you this notion of fierce to you so that you'll understand why I'm calling it Finding Your Fierce. Now, this must have been about 10 years ago. I was watching Beyonce on some show, right? And to be honest with you, I was hating on her just a little bit, having a little jealous moment. And as I was watching Beyonce, what dropped in my spirit was, you have fears too. And I'm thinking, okay, I know God is not in watching Beyonce with me. I know this is not God, right? That's what I started telling myself, right? But then what I realized was this. Think about when Beyonce created Sasha Fierce, right? See, for the first time in her career, Beyonce was going out solo. See, before then, she always had other women standing on stage with her. Do you get that? And so for the first time in her career, in order for her to become the highest and best version of who God created her to be, she had to go stand on that stage alone, which was scary. Kind of like that crossroad I was at, where I knew this next thing I had to do, and I had to do it alone because nobody else was there with me in this journey but me. And so Beyonce created this alter ego, Sasha Fierce, so that Sasha could speak to overcoming the fear that would paralyze her from being all that was possible for her. Sasha could push through that fear and stand on that stage and be the bold, bodacious Beyonce that we know her to be. So I want you to think about for a minute. Think about who you are when you're 100% of who you are. That's that fierce. that's dying to come out. There's another level in you. So for me, when I was at that crossroad, it wasn't that Hollywood wasn't where I should start it. Still, it's very much what I'm passionate about. But there was another level of my gift in me that God was drawing me out to grow into. Do you get that? So in that moment, I discovered what I now call my fierce formula. Now, this whole conversation of being the answer, of living on your assignment, right? It starts with realizing that that very gift in you is the answer to somebody's problem, that people are looking for you and need you. And it was the very answer to somebody else's problem that led me to do this work that I'm doing now. And little did I know then that it'd be the expansion that it's become now. And I want you to really get this. Number one, to live in your fierce, you must live in full activation of the gift inside of you and stand in it completely and unapologetically. See, it's no one else's journey but yours, right? I remember I had a client that told me how her sister was talking about what she was doing. I said, well, what you're doing is none of your sister's business. This is between you and God, right? Now, number two, when you stand in full activation of that fierce, that gift, that brilliance in you, you become the answer. No matter what you do, if you are an accountant, a coach, a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, a hairstylist, or anything in between. See, the gift in you is the very thing people want or need and will pay for. That is why God brought you here on assignment, right? And so it starts with defining your own DNA, again, your distinct natural ability. So what I realized from my own self-defining journey is that the DNA was placed in me to draw out what's best in other people. So the other thing I realized is that God knew how he was going to use me before I was born. And so he placed me here at this appointed time to do this work, just like he knew how he was going to use you. So once I discovered and got clear on my DNA and the power of the one thing that I was created to do in this world, it felt so doggone good. Shoot, I wanted everybody else to feel the same way. And I'm sure that's why God had me discover it this way, because that feel good is why I'm even recording this podcast, right? And I got to tell you, it took me too many years to figure it out, too many workshops, too many coaches to really understand, number one, that I have fierce in me, and number two, how to really become the highest and best version of who I was created to be. And guess what? You have the same calling in your life that I do, right? And not just calling, but really you have a path that will light someone's journey behind you, no matter what your expertise is. And when you really begin to do that is by studying the power of that one thing. Now, listen, if you need support in your journey to figure out the exact reason you're here or how to take that gift in you and begin to create a career or a business that's in alignment with your assignment. Oh, I didn't know I was going to rhyme like that. That's the exact reason I created the Brilliance Roadmap Quiz. Now, listen. Go to brillianceroadmapquiz.com. Take the quiz. It's free. The quiz will tell you where you are in your journey. You're in stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. It will explain to you the stage you're in, not because you'll get a video from me explaining where you are. And then you'll get another level of activation, which is free as well, that will begin to help you get the strategy you need to move yourself forward for the stage you're in. Again, that's brillianceroadmapquiz.com. Totally free. And why am I even telling you all this? And why am I even doing all of this? Because can I tell you that your gift, your brilliance, your fierce matters. See, so often when I meet successful women who are overlooking their gift, it's because the very thing that comes to you easily and effortlessly is the thing that you think, oh, doesn't everybody know how to do that? Or why would anybody pay for this? Or so many other people do this. And it's because it's easy for you. So you think everyone can do it. But guess what? No one can do it like you, especially the way that you do it, right? To give you an example of this, one of my clients, I'll call her Casey for this conversation. She came to me so over the moon excited, right? She was just starting out and really building this self-development coaching business. And she wanted me to help monetize what she was doing. She came to me to bankroll her brilliance, right? So Casey shared with me that she wanted to be a personal development coach, but for some reason, something in my spirit as she was sharing this with me just didn't sit right with me. You see, anytime I'm working with a client, I'm watching. Now, I wouldn't say I'm a stalker, but I might be a little stalkerish, right? But really, I watch the conversations that they're having, the posts they're doing in social media. I'm looking at the things they're doing because I want to get to know who they are so I can really coach them and really give them as much value as possible, right? Well, as I was watching Casey, the things she was saying that she wanted to develop in her business and the conversation she was having in social media were two totally different things. And because of this, as Casey was sharing with me what she wanted to do, I couldn't help but ask her because I could feel something was off. So here's what I said. I know I just met you. And I might be getting ready to step on your toes a little bit, but I got to tell you that what you're saying you want to do is not in alignment with the conversations you're having in social media. So I have to ask you, who told you you should be a life coach? And in that moment, I could hear through Casey's voice, tears starting to fall. See, just like I did, Casey had gotten caught up in other people's perceptions. See, this gets packaged in different ways, right? You want to be accepted. You're worried about what other people will think when you do this thing that lights up your soul, right? So maybe you don't do that. You do the thing that people will accept. Or maybe the industry you're in says you should do this certain way to make money or to climb the corporate ladder. Or you see someone else who's successful, so you decide to do it just like her. When can I tell you your DNA is not placing you to be anybody but you? Or maybe your mom, your dad, your family, your community expects this of you, this other thing of you. And so you don't go after the thing that's rumbling in your soul. See, when I said that and asked that question to Casey through her tears, she shared with me that other people were telling her that she should be a life coach. But the passion, the fire, the DNA in her was telling her to do something altogether different. And so I advised her to do the thing that was lighting up her soul. And I could tell she felt relieved in that moment. And can I tell you that to see Casey now, to watch her now standing for activation of her gift is amazing. See, the reason I'm sharing this story with you is the challenge that I see so many successful women have is that you're discounting your gift because it may be totally different than the current success you've obtained. And see, I'm not here for who you already are. This episode is not about what you've already done. Sure, you might have accolades, you might have trophies, you might have plaques on the wall. That's done. This episode is about who you have not yet become. And even for me, when I had that moment, that crossroad in 1993, it wasn't about what I was doing. It was about what I wasn't doing. See, the main issue that so many come to me for is finally owning their gift and really understanding how to bankroll their brilliance, which makes me think of a Bible verse that totally is the light, the first step, the first base on my path when I'm working with a woman, right? Which is Romans 8:29. For whom he foreknew, he also predestined. See, in the dictionary, and by the way, I'm always looking up words because I really want to understand the deeper meaning to anything. So the dictionary defines foreknow as making you aware of an event before it happens. So what I interpret this to mean is your gift was in you before you were born. See, God foreknew you. He knew and was aware of an event before it happened, right? So God foreknew how he wanted to use you on this earth for a special assignment. He knew how he wanted to utilize you in service to all mankind, right? Then I looked up the word predestined. And predestined means, and what it said it means, is to determine the outcome ahead of time. So think about it, making you aware of an event before it happens and determining the outcome ahead of time. So here's what I want you to get. When you were born to this world, you were born with gifts and talents already inside of you. You came here pre-wired to do something or be something, right? So when I say that and thinking of the own mix of DNA inside of me, I realize I've always been a natural born producer of people. See, even when I was little, matter of fact, my mom, about 10 years ago, my husband did this roast for my 40th birthday, right? And my mom gave him a bunch of pictures. And one of those pictures is me at 3 years old. And in that picture, I am pushing a baby carriage. Now, most 3-year-olds will have a baby in that baby carriage, but not Nicole Roberts. That's who I was then. I wasn't Nicole Roberts Jones. I was Nicole Roberts, right? In my baby carriage, I had books and papers. So even then I was so interested in producing, so interested in content and context of things, even when I was in elementary school. Now I saw a group of my friends from elementary school a few years ago as one was getting married, and they reminded me of this. See, I would play with the kids in my neighborhood and always set the scene for the games we played. I know that sounds crazy, but I was the one creating the plot in my little school age mind. Like, let's say we were playing Batman. I would say, okay, listen, you're going to be Batman, and so, you're going to be Robin, and then such and such, you're the robber, and I'll be Wonder Woman. And here's what happens. You rob the bank, and I'd go on and set the scene. Who does that? That's the way I'm wired. I was always thinking about who would play the best role and what was a good fit for everybody and how we would all make this happen together, which is what I do now, which is what I did in Hollywood. Again, I'm a natural born producer. I've been doing that since I was born effortlessly. But for years, I discounted it. I overlooked it. So what have you been overlooking that's great about you? So as you answer that question for yourself, let me say this. If God put in you gifts and talents so that you come here on assignment, it's kind of like you come to this world as a 007 agent, right? Hello, Jasmine Bond. So here's your mission. Should you choose to accept it? Your mission in this thing called life is not only to live in full activation of the gifts, the greatness, the know-how deep inside of you, but it's about understanding that your gift is not for you. I've said this a few times in this episode, and I got to say it again. Your gift is for every person that needs you. See, understanding that you are the answer to somebody's problem. See, that is why God put you here in the first place. He put that gift in you to be a blessing to others and a blessing that then also gives back to you. See, John 10:10 says, I have come that you have life and have it more abundantly. See, what I believe and what I've seen manifest not only in my life, but in countless others that I've had the privilege to coach and teach is that the very way that you're the answer to somebody's problem is the very way that is meant to bring back abundance to you. Now, when I say abundance, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about having an abundant life. I'm talking abundant life success. I'm talking abundance in self-esteem. See, when you're standing fully in the power of you feel confident and you're dominating in your lane, right? I'm talking about abundance in relationships. See, when you're confident, and you know who you are, then you don't accept less than what you deserve. See, I'm talking about abundance in health. I'm talking abundance in every area of your life. See, when you're doing the thing you're called to do, you just love waking up in the morning. Now, let me ask you, how many people do you know, or is this you, who go to a job every day that they absolutely hate? They're doing the same thing every day, dreading waking up every morning, dragging their feet to go to this place that they hate called work. Now, I do know that not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, but I'm clear on this, that when you're living in your fierce at work at your 9 to 5, you love doing your work. You enjoy it. See, on the other end of that, when you don't live in the full power of your gift, you live in disappointment, you live in frustration, you live in stress because you work in a place that's not meant for you. So you're miserable and depressed. However, when you live in the power of the one thing you were meant to do or be, everything becomes effortless. You wake up every morning excited about your day. See, when you really begin to monetize your gift and you're unapologetic about what you do, abundance comes to you without you even having to try. See, as a matter of fact, when you understand the power of your one, then you save yourself time and energy and you make more money. You bankroll your brilliance, right? And it happens effortlessly. So let me walk you through 3 ingredients you need to really stand unapologetically in being the highest and best version of who God created you to be. The 3 ingredients you need to live on assignment. The 3 ingredients you need to say yes and commit to be the answer. You ready? Got your pen? All right. So number 1, you've got to master your gift. So to get started, you got to get clear on what your gift is. Okay. So if you don't have a piece of paper, grab one because I'm going to give you some questions to answer. Now you can do this as your homework. Okay. So in order to understand your purpose, 2 things have to correlate. And by the way, this is what I'm going to walk you through are the steps of my fierce framework, right? So the first step is, what are you passionate about? Like, what do you actually love enough that you could do all day and never get paid for it? Matter of fact, you're probably doing it now, right? You're either doing it at your job to some extent, or you're doing it for free on a volunteer committee or some other way you're serving the world, right? That's number 1. Number 2, what are you proficient in? Like, what are you really, really great at? Now, what's the thing that everybody, even your boss, has come to you and asked you about or want to pick your brain about? That's the thing you're proficient in, okay? Now, can I tell you that your proficiency and your passion must correlate? So if I give you an example, I'm really passionate about shopping. I love it. As a matter of fact, I tried to get a job somehow involving the fashion industry. But as I realized, I'm good at it for only me. I didn't care about thread count. I didn't care about colors on other people. I only care about it on me. And I had to get real with myself with that. Because I'm not good at it. for anybody else but me, right? Another career that I really aspired to was, let me say to you, that I can really dance my heart out. And if I could sing, trust me, Beyonce would have a run for her money. But you can't be passionate about something and not good at it. And you can't be good at it and not be passionate about it. Those two things must correlate. So if you really dig deep and answer these questions, you'll begin to understand what your gift is, right? And then I want you to do everything it takes to master it, right? It's one thing to have a gift. It's another thing to put in practice all the things you need to grow the gift. It's one thing to buy a house that has grass, but if you never water the grass will die. That's the same thing that happens with your gift. Now, I'll tell you more about how to grow it in a minute. But again, if you find yourself stuck, please take the Brilliance Roadmap Quiz. Again, brillianceroadmapquiz.com. I created the quiz to support you. I created the quiz to give you the implementation steps you need. I created the quiz so that I could help you see in your blind spot so you can move it forward now. Again, that's brillianceroadmapquiz.com. See, again, it's one thing to have a gift. It's another thing to grow it. So to master it, right? Here's some things you can do to choose to grow it. You can go back to school for formal education, training, or certification programs. You can read books. You can attend conferences and workshops. You can hire a coach, right? And to be honest with you, I think you need all of the four things all packaged together. But ultimately, if you go to school, if you read a book, if you attend a conference or a workshop, you need a coach that can walk you through a process and help you design the implementation plan you need to grow your gift, right? And so if there's any way that we can serve you, the NRJ Enterprises team, know that we're here for you. And the brillianceroadmapquiz.com is the first step to help support you do that, okay? So once you, number one, master your gift. Number two, you got to know who needs you. So once you know, grow, and master your gift, then you have to know, again, who needs you. Again, your gift is the answer to somebody's problem. See, every day that you're not living in the full power of your gift, you're not only holding up somebody's blessing, but you're also late for work. God is waiting for you. You're late living out your assignment, right? So here's some things to ponder for your homework for this one. Number one, who needs you? See, you're not everybody's answer. You need to know the somebody you are the answer to. And how are you their answer, right? Again, don't try to be everything to everyone, because when you do, you end up being nothing to no one. It's like you're being the jack of all trades and a master of none. Matter of fact, years ago, the world got into this whole multitasking phase. And I was reading recently in an article that multitasking was really created for computers, not for humans. But many of us are trying to do multiple things. And in order for you to be excellent, you've got to focus on the one thing. You can't do everything excellent, right? If you have 100% of your time, if you're trying to do 5 things and you're splitting those 5 things into that 100%. But if you do one thing, you can give it your all. So you got to hone in on what problem you're the solution to, and then hone in on the one group that needs you. And then number 3. So again, number 1 is what? Master your gift. Number 2 is know who needs you. And then number 3, you got to package your answer. See, here's the thing. Most millionaires don't tell you is they have multiple streams of income. See, your gift is the solution. And what you've got to create is 2 things: a system that moves people from symptom to solution. And then you've got to have multiple ways people can work with you, because some people might want to work with you one-on-one. Some people may want to go through a group program. Some people may want to go through online, right? You've got to have different levels to how people say yes to you. See, what I know for sure is that if you made it this far in this episode, it's because there's a call of exponential excellence and impact on your life. And it's one you can't continue to ignore. Now, you may be dabbling in it right now, but we both know you're not playing full out. So what are you going to do about that? How are you going to move those 3 steps forward? If that's you, I want to encourage you. First, I want to tell you it's time to step outside of your comfort zone, which could be step number 4, right? Because what I know for sure is your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Matter of fact, your comfort and your conviction can never coexist. And my sister friend, if you have a rumble in your belly like I did in 1993, that's your conviction. That's God's assignment rumbling inside of you saying it's time. And so you have 2 choices. You can stay right where you are in comfort, or you can push through and become the next level of you. Now, you remember the caterpillar in the cocoon example I shared with you a little bit ago, right? See, staying in the cocoon would be staying in your comfort zone. And can I tell you, for a caterpillar to come out of a cocoon, it has to fight its way out. So if you're ready to fight, if you're ready to go after your next level, if you're ready to go after the rumble inside of you, let today be the day Like that day I had back in 1993 when you stop caring about what other people have to think or say about you. When you start to say yes to the more that's rumbling in you. When I moved forward, I got to tell you, I had to do it, knees knocking and teeth chattering. And when I made the decision to leave Hollywood and pursue it, I got to tell you, my life has never been the same. There's no way I could have ever known that stepping through my comfort and doing it afraid would have been so rewarding. See, I decided to go after becoming the highest and best version of who God created me to be. I realized that while I was successful, God had more work for me to do. And that work was not about who I was. Again, it was about who I had not yet become. So that night now, 27 years ago, I began the transition to do the work I'm doing now with women just like you, so that you too can do what I did, which is what I call to find your fears. I hope this episode gave you some great insight and a little bit of nudge that you need to say yes to the assignment, because God's waiting for you. I look forward to supporting you in your journey, because what I know for sure is now is your time. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Amplify Your Brilliance. Now, I want you to walk away from these sessions with value, so answer either one or all three of these questions. Number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what will you do different as a result of what you heard? See, you may have heard something you've already heard, or you may have learned something new. Either way, don't take the insight that was shared with you for granted. So commit to doing one thing different as a result of what you heard. Number three, what was confirmation for you? What did you hear that confirmed you're on the right path? See, I want you to take a moment and celebrate you. Too often in our journey, we focus on what we're not doing and we forget to celebrate what we are doing. So I want you to share with us something that showed you that you're on the right path. Now again, share. Share either answer number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what will you do different? Or number three, what was confirmation for you? And share it in our Facebook community. Go to thebrilliancetribe.com and use the hashtag Amplify Your Brilliance. See, each experience we encourage, support, and celebrate as a community. It allows us to expand in possibility and wisdom, in encouragement and love. Now, we've invited you into this community to deepen our journey with being the answer somebody needs and being committed to your next level. So until the next time, be extraordinary, be unapologetic, be bodaciously you, go and amplify.